Have you tried the new Pinpoint Disposables yet? They're seriously smooth. They're so small they fit in that little coin pocket in your jeans. They're easy to use and they hit just right. And whether you're trying to chill or vibe or take things up a notch, these compact sized vapes bring the flavor and the effects without any hassle. Just grab one, take a hit, and you're good to go. They're perfect for when you're on the move or just kicking back, and they're definitely worth checking out. And if you want to check out more about Pinpoint Vapes, check out pinpoint-extracts.com.
Welcome to Greenway Audio Magazine. Brandon, this is our sixth episode.
What? It is our sixth episode.
That's great.
Are we not presented by anybody anymore?
Yeah. I'm getting there. I'm just excited that we're on the sixth episode.
Does your watch have like a fitness tracker, but it's for episodes of your podcast?
Yeah, it's episode tracker.
Shit, man, that's wild.
This episode 6 and beyond, is brought to you by Pinpoint Extracts. Do you know what family they're a part of?
I'm part of the High Fidelity family, my friend.
They are part of the High Fidelity family, which we're extremely excited to have be our title sponsor. Are you?
Yeah, man. I had a great time at Mardi Gras. They had a great setup with the Cannabis agency and Kind Goods right behind the big show there.
Yeah.
So super excited to try the new line of disposable vapes that they're rolling out. They got some really cool flavor profiles and some funny names for the new vapes and stuff.
Good. I'm all about the silly names when it comes to disposable vaping.
Yeah.
There's some good ones out there.
What's your favorite?
Ooh. Amaze Orange is probably...
Is that silly?
It's not that silly. Ooh, there is a silly one. Okay. There is a silly one, and I'm gonna remember it. Green Frame has a client that has some very silly vape names, and it will pop into my head probably during the interview with our guest today, Aaron Childs of Cannabis Cult.
Excited
he will be joining us
talk to
here
that
shortly to talk about the year-end flower championship tournament with the Connoisseur Pack. And if you don't know who won, we'll talk about it. I'm still trying to remember what it is. But anyway.
How was it the year end? Because it started in February.
Yeah, but it was a year. Okay, not year end. Year long.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we'll bring up the whole March Madness type style bracket to explain what exactly that means. But until then, dude, we can just chat about stuff. I know all of the awards have been announced. People have been celebrating. I've been seeing all of the Greenway Awards posts on Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook. So that's been going and people are celebrating. What else? I mean, really, okay, Mardi Gras just happened. How have you been doing? How you feel? You know what I noticed last time? One of the episodes I go, "How you doing, bud? How are you, bud?" And it sounded very Canadian, and I had two people call me out on it. So I don't know how to change that.
I mean, at the same time, at the moment that you're talking about, you were very much in like, "Hey, what the fuck are you doing?" mode.
Yeah.
Because you were sitting there like a little testy, little perturbed. Hey, what are you doing there, fat guy? Why you got your fingers on your phone in the middle of class? Kind of vibes coming off of the old silver fox over there at that time.
Well, also, I had a meltdown in one of them, a very small meltdown. But everyone got to see the dark side.
Pull back the curtains.
Yeah, really what I'm about.
See what the wizard's all about.
How are you doing, Brandon? Let's talk. How are you?
I'm doing good, brother. We've been busy, with all the new developments with Greenway, with bringing on new sponsors for the podcast, and just trying to get everything set for the Best of the Industry Awards, which are, in a week or so now. Looking ahead to some of the events that are coming up, and that's it, man. Just busy. I've got kids. My kids are busy little folks, and this industry is constantly moving forward and changing and becoming ever more dynamic, and at the same time, always a little bit, it somehow gets bigger and smaller at the same time.
Right.
And I don't know that a lot of people outside of the industry would understand what that means, but just the overall contraction of some of the licenses and stuff. But at the same time, all these new brands and all these new partners coming into the space. So, I busy sums up most people's life in this industry, I think.
Yeah, especially parents in the industry. Speaking of which, I am a father to 2 teenagers, and I had to use the little boys' room before this. Why can't teenagers put the toilet roll on the little spool thing? They just put it on top. Why? Just all you got to do is this. That's it.
So
it's consistent.
I may be giving away too much information here, but we're a 3 shells family, like Demolition Man.
Yeah.
There's no toilet paper in the house.
Okay.
You don't remember Demolition Man and the 3 shells?
Didn't see it, bud.
Yeah. How did you not see the biggest Sylvester Stallone? It was from 1996, man.
God.
That was Sylvester Stallone, Wesley Snipes at the height of their popularity, Rob Schneider, Sandra Bullock, Benjamin Bratt.
Yeah. Okay. Benjamin Bratt. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So wait, they don't use toilet paper in that movie?
Yeah, it's a whole joke about they make fun of Sylvester Stallone throughout the entire thing about toilet paper being an ancient thing. But the reality of what I was saying with that is we genuinely don't use much toilet paper. We obviously still have some, but it's, as a girl dad, I learned that toilet paper is a necessary product for feminine hygiene.
Yes.
But I am a tried and true believer in bidets and wet wipes. And here's, without getting into the nitty gritty and becoming the Charmin bear here, here's my whole argument. If I get mustard on my finger, I'm not just going to wipe it off with a napkin. I'm going to walk in and I'm going to wash my hands in the sink.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say.
No, I get it.
That's all I got to say.
I get it. Yes.
That's all I got to say.
I understand that. Yes, the bidets are the way to go. I always thought those were for rich people, but they're actually for smart people.
I don't know that I'm smart. I just know that I have a fresh tush.
Yeah. I think we got the tushy. I think that's what it was called. I installed it in our basement bathroom. The tush, the fresh tush, something like that. Anyway, it's the poor man's
I'm not
bidet,
an
but it
expert
works.
on the name. I'm not an expert on the names, but I am an
Tush
expert.
Push? No, that's the Eagles. So they're trying to ban that, by the way, the Packers.
PTSD.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of, I mean, this is a weird transition, but speaking of stomach issues, I went ahead, new product alert, beep, 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 beep. I went out and tried, I actually have it right here, Curio Wellness's GI Comfort. As a person, no shame in my game, who struggles from intestinal issues, I've been wanting to give these a try for a few years, to be honest. And I finally buckled down because we brought it up on an episode, a few episodes ago, and I went out and got it. For me, it worked. Holy cow. Usually, you try some stuff and you're like, I hope it works. Yeah, I think I noticed a difference. Personally, stomach pain went right away. So I'm speaking for myself, but I was extremely happy with it. GI
You look
comfort.
a little surprised.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, but it's cool to have something work the way you were hoping it would work. It goes with anything.
I get that. I had a similar experience with Heartland's patches. Whenever they first came out, I was like, yeah, the transdermal patches.
Sure.
Whenever they first came out, I understood the basic idea of the science behind it, but I wasn't sure about the efficacy. And I got to sample a few of the different patches from Maddie over at Heartland. And as somebody that, gets to try a lot of different products and stuff like that, there's not a whole lot of things that I actually seek out and will make sure it's in stock and go buy it.
Right.
That's one of those things that has worked so well for me. The first time I put it on my left knee and put one on my lower back. And for the first time in years, I was like completely pain-free without any kind of, I didn't feel high. I just felt really, really good in the areas where I put the patches.
Good.
But I never got a sensation of high off of it.
That's great. What if you become the Shaquille O'Neal of the transdermal patch cannabis industry? Shaq does the icy hot patches. What if you are the cannabis transdermal patch guy?
I would love that. I don't think that Shaquille O'Neal and I have the same level of notoriety and visibility.
Not yet.
But
not yet.
I welcome the opportunity to do advertisements for the General's Auto Insurance as well.
Hey, another thing with all of the Spotify money that we have coming in, I purchased a new microphone. Okay. It's great, but here's the problem. You can hear a gnat fart. And anytime the dogs breathe, tiptoe over the carpet, it's coming through. So I'm gonna have to do some serious post-production after this, because the dogs have been breathing rather heavily.
You know what you should invest in?
What's that?
A door.
Hey, scratch it, dude. Yeah. But, this is a good day, and this is episode 6, and, we just bugging. We just having some fun.
Just ripping.
That's, we just bugging. We just having some fun. He's the DJ. I'm the rapper. You don't know what that is?
I don't get that reference now.
Okay, so that is DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince album entitled He's the DJ, I'm the Rapper. I got that in 4th grade. I could probably still quote it word for word, front to back. What was your first album that you ever bought with your own money, with your lawn mowing money?
Okay, so the first album I ever bought with my own money, okay, I know what it is. It was actually a trip to Sam Goody,
Sure.
Cape Girardeau.
Yeah.
Circa 1993, 94-ish. And I purchased 2 CDs with my very own cash green dollar backs.
Yeah.
The first CD I purchased, which in retrospect, my mother probably should not have allowed me to purchase this at the time. But she was only familiar with the title track, which was playing on the radio all the time and didn't have anything wrong with it per se. Title track was Gangster's Paradise by Coolio.
Sure.
The album was... Yeah.
I think he passed last year.
I think it was more than last year, but yeah,
Sure.
He was surprisingly not as old as I thought he should be, and older than I thought he was, if that makes any sense. No, he was like in his 50s or 60s whenever he passed.
Okay.
But at the same time, you know, as somebody that he was huge whenever I was literally like 8, 10 years old. I both thought he should be way older and also never really felt like he aged in front of me.
Very true.
So Gangster's Paradise is the title track, Dangerous Minds soundtrack, not exclusively Coolio, but just a really solid top to bottom soundtrack.
Great.
And the second one was No Doubt's Tragic Kingdom. I bought them in the same trip at the same time, put them in my little Sony Extreme Discman with the bass boost, put it on the clip on the side of my on the side of my jeans, and
did it have anti-skip protection?
100% had anti-skip protection. Yeah. That was a Christmas.
You could
present.
walk, and it wouldn't skip.
Not only could I walk, I could run.
Don't say run. Really?
And mow the lawn with that bad boy going, and it very rarely skipped.
Wow. I recall riding my little bike to Turtle Records when I lived in Atlanta, 3rd grade, and I purchased Raising Hell by Run DMC. And then I purchased a blank cassette, sorry, music industry. And I don't think you had to do this, but back in my day, I borrowed my neighbor's Beastie Boys License to Ill because I didn't have enough money. And I got 2 tape decks, went up to my parents' bathroom, shut and locked the door, press play on the Beastie Boys one and record on my blank cassette. And that's how I got License to Ill, which changed my life. But you could hear kids coughing in the background. You could hear somebody shooting baskets, but that's okay. It was still, that was the old school way to get music, or just record off of the radio.
Not only did I do the same thing, but I specifically asked for one of the oversized boom boxes that had dual tape decks. That way I could play and record from the same boom box.
Right.
And then you could record from the radio at the same time too.
Yeah.
And it was a little less, kerfudgery, trying to do that, because as soon as it came on, if you're close enough to the radio, as soon as the song pops on, you instantly hit record on the one that you've already got in the recording side.
And then
that was my first exploration into federal crime. Was
right.
Copyright
for sure.
violation. Yeah. Piracy.
Yeah. And then you just get the end of Hot 97 or whatever, and then it would go into your song.
Either that, or you missed the most iconic like entry to every song. You think back to like certain songs that have like that iconic like one chord, like kids might think of it with like some of the new Kendrick songs now, going back a little bit to My Chemical Romance, that one piano key on the Black Parade.
Yeah, you just recognize it.
Yeah, that first note that you hear on like Wham's "Wake Me Up Before You Go," that, like you missed that. You missed that on all of the songs that I ever recorded, because I heard it and I was like, ooh, lunging across the room trying to get to it.
So that's old tech, new tech. Now we got new tech. And one of the issues that comes with new tech are people messing with it, which brings us into this phishing scam business that's hitting the Missouri marijuana industry. What the heck's going on out here?
We saw it really hard. A couple 3 weeks ago, we reported on it on Greenway, but it's been kind of an ongoing issue within the cannabis industry for the last couple years, is that as the tech expands more rapidly, we see a lot more opportunities for vulnerability to be exploited. And I think that's where the phishing thing comes from, is,
if you have employees that are not normally facing, they don't normally have that in their head every day, that's a possibility, or that somebody's going to be trying that. I think that's where a lot of that comes from. But you're a lot more tech savvy than I am, so I would be interested to hear, your thoughts on how to prevent, because it's not just phishing, it's everything from
Text
phishing
spam.
to some of the spam to
Mm-hmm.
what are some of the things that you've seen or that you think operators should be more cognizant of just across the board with their employees and with their operations as far as vulnerability in tech?
I would say the number one issue is that I have noticed, and it's become really tough to decipher. You used to be able, do you ever get those, occasionally get an email? It's like a PayPal invoice request for money, and it looks so legit. But then you see the PayPal logo is like a little off, or it says PayPal.co or PayPal.co.uk, or somebody's name.org. You really have to look at where it's coming from. So hover over the sender, because it could say PayPal.com, but if you hover over it, it will show you exactly where it's coming from. And if it's not directly from PayPal.com, you can see it might be from a Gmail account, and it's fake. But they've also, I've gotten a few recently that look just like an invoice or something. And it's very difficult to do. If it looks fishy with PH, delete it. Don't open it. Don't click on anything. Just delete it. If it's important and vital, that person will get back to you. But I would say at least on text messages as well. Somehow I'm on a list for a political party, and I get stuff 2-3 times a day. And I just hit the report and move to junk. Do not respond. If you respond with F you or even stop, you know how they say like to unsubscribe, stop. A lot of these, all that does is validate that you're a human, and then that's a phone line that works. So just delete, report to junk, delete.
I think that's a really good point with the text messages, especially as much as the market uses text messages
Right.
for blasting, specials and things like that. Because while we've seen the phishing in the email so far, what we haven't seen a lot of is the consumer outreach as far as, phishing or spam or what have you. And I know that's something that they've seen in California over the last few years is, I don't know if it was Spring Big or one of the other big text messaging services, but somebody had started replicating their format for their text messages and sending them out to dispensary customers. And those hyperlinks were asking them to enter their, medical card information or their patient information as if they were having trouble logging into the website. And that was a big one. So the text messages were something I hadn't even thought about in 6 months or so since last hearing about that. But that's a huge thing for especially Missouri operators to be aware of, that's something that's already been happening in other states. So I'm really glad you brought that up. I will point out that with the most recent phishing scam in Missouri, that even whenever you hovered over the email address, the email address was originating from somebody with who was an actual person at an actual operation.
They're getting good.
It's happened at more than one facility in the state over the last few months. So just keep your head on a swivel out there. And at the end of the day, my policy is always, if I have any question, if I get anything unexpected, if I just paid an invoice or if I don't have a contract with that person or whatever, if I get anything unexpected, the phone line, just go straight to the phone.
Pick it up.
And do not rely on the phone number inside of the email that it's sent from.
Yeah, because they will answer it like, "Hey, this is blah 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 blah."
Yeah, I'm definitely Tim Pickett from Green Frame.
Yeah,
Let's talk.
exactly. Yes,
Let's
we
rap.
just
Give me
need
your
birth
social
certificate.
security number
Yeah.
and your mother's maiden name,
Yeah.
please. It's vital to the continuation of your relationship with Green Frame that I know the first street that you grew up on,
right.
and your first pet's name.
Yeah. These fishers. And we're not talking Billy Big Mouth Bass. Billy Big Mouth Bass. Did you have that?
It was Big Mouth Billy
Take me
Bass.
to the river.
Have you ever seen the videos where they
Put
sync it
me
up to
in the
other stuff?
water. Yes. Oh yeah.
That's
Good.
my
That
favorite.
was huge. Late 90s. If you had one in your basement, like by the pool table or by the basement bar, it was like a standard.
Everybody's grandpa or
Yes.
dad got those for Father's Day for like 3 years in a row.
Yes. Okay. Hey, we are going to get right into our guest.
What a segue from Big Mouth Billy Bass
Yeah.
to Aaron Childs.
To Aaron Childs. The Cannabis Cult. So we're going to be bringing him in here shortly. But first, Brandon?
When you demand the finest, every detail matters. At Teal Cannabis, they don't just create products, they craft experiences. From their expertly extracted concentrates to their carefully rolled pre-rolls and precision-engineered vapes, every product is crafted with the highest standards in mind. They believe in quality that speaks for itself. That's why they ensure that each Teal product delivers a smooth, consistent experience every time. Teal Cannabis. Elevate your experience.
Welcome back to Greenway Audio Magazine. We are here with our special guest, Aaron Childs of the Cannabis Cult and the Connoisseur Pack.
True.
Do you want to tell us about, well, first of all, thank you for joining us here on Greenway
for
Audio
having me.
Magazine. We are massive fans of the Connoisseur Pack and all that it has brought to the cannabis industry here in Missouri. If people aren't familiar with it, shame on them, A. B, can you kind of explain the rules, how you came up with it?
Yes.
That
Yeah.
whole deal.
So basically, it started off because we came up with that rating system for the website, for the Cannabis Cult website, and we were just kind of trying to figure out like how we could get people to utilize the rating system, and then we came up with the idea that maybe we could do like a blind competition, and then people could scan the QR codes, and then it'll take them to our website where then they could utilize the rating system, which then we could announce the results of the winners.
So basically, and I will be upfront, I do work with Aaron on some Cannabis Cult stuff because the people at the top are collaborating.
True.
You know what I'm saying? So I will say that up front. So basically what it is you talk to brands, and let's just say flower as an example. You'll talk to brands and say, hey, here's our flower competition for the month. We need an eighth of one of your strains. We're going to put it in this jar, not tell anyone what brand it is or what strain it is. It just has, it's a jar with the QR code on it. And you get 4 of those from 4 different brands. And it's like a blind taste test. You sell those in green lights, in selected green lights. And consumers go out and purchase this. Usually for flower, it's what, like $99 for 4 eighths?
$99, and then they get the 4 eighths for finals.
Yeah. So then you go home, try them out, and then scan the QR code, go to the site, fill out all the information on aroma, effects, structure, all that kind of stuff. And then at that point, you still don't know. who
Right.
was who. And then once the voting ends, which is usually about 10 days,
Yeah,
wouldn't
10
you say?
days, 2 weeks, somewhere. We try to
Yeah.
find a happy medium there.
Well, or until it sells out, which we'll get into. This championship round sold out pretty
Yeah.
damn fast.
Yeah, this was
Pretty
a
fast.
really great round. It was like the fastest selling flower pack so far, so that was pretty cool to see.
Right. So then you get all this data, you go through, do a lot of equations, a lot of Excel spreadsheeting, and then that's when we come up with 1, 2, 3, 4, the rankings of those brands. And there have been some major surprises
Oh
this
yeah,
year.
for sure. Yeah.
So let's get into the flower championship. I love the whole deal behind this because
Well, hang on a second. Well, before we get into Flower Championship,
yeah,
let's talk a little bit about how we got here.
how did we get here?
Not to step on your toes, but because of your relationship with Aaron, you already know all the ins and outs and everything.
I do.
You're jumping the shark, my friend.
Sorry, bro.
So as somebody that's not as closely tied to it, you and I have talked a few times. We talked whenever you were first launching. We talked a few different times throughout the evolution of it, whenever you guys first started doing concentrates and stuff like that. But for anybody that's ever just purchased one or seen them in store and didn't really get the whole concept of it, what we talked about what it is. It's blind scoring. It's the Pepsi challenge type of thing for cannabis. It's putting some of the biggest brands in the state up against each other, whether it's flower, whether it's concentrate, and letting consumers vote on it. How did you guys come up with your scoring? How did you figure out what was important to the overall score? And my biggest question has always been, how did you convince companies to jump in at first? And what's it been like from the first iteration to now?
So basically, I think like the value proposition for brands getting in is they saw that like the unbiased factor about the competition would be, a good thing for the Missouri industry. So I think that's initially why brands wanted to start doing the Connoisseur Pack. But now, I mean, it just keeps, growing and we're getting more subscribers to the website. So it's just becoming kind of like a common practice, like a tradition almost basically here in Missouri.
So I one of the things that I thought was so cool is that when you started this, there was a company that continually dominated most of these connoisseur packs. Who is that company?
Local. Yeah, local. The first flower pack we did, it was local, Vivid, Vibe, and Greenlight. With Greenlight's flower, we obviously sell it at the Greenlight stores, but yeah. So that was like the inaugural championship. That's when we had the first belts made for flower, and then rosin, and then live resin, and then local ended up winning the belt in the inaugural championship, and then now we just released the results yesterday, but that they just defended it for the third time. So they've won all 4 times that they've been in the flower pack, which is crazy. And
That's
same
amazing.
with Vibe on the live rosin and the live resin packs, which we haven't done as many as I'd like, but I think we're going to start doing a lot more of those. And we have a live rosin championship pack about to drop here on the 14th, I think.
Of March?
Yeah, like double check. Yeah. So it's going to drop on the 14th of March.
That's great. So I love this because it looks very sporty, and I love sports. This is your whole flower tournament of trying to take down local. So what it was here is that you did 3 rounds of this flower competition, and all of these freaking awesome brands participated this year. I mean, you got Camp, you got Amaze, Notorious, Daybreak, Robust, Illicit. I mean, holy cow. I mean, these are the players,
for
you know?
sure.
And I think one of the cool things about this is that I've heard you say this before, is that David can take down Goliath in a lot of these situations, because when you have a name, a big name, there might be a little bit of bias, like, okay, yeah, of course they're
Or like
gonna be good.
expectations.
If you don't have a
too.
name,
Like,
if you don't have a name attached to that product, you don't know who it is. And there have been some surprises this year. There have been some that won rounds, or some that finished a really close second. And you're like, wow, I did not know. And you can see by the comments on social media and on Reddit of people saying, man, I had no idea that was blah, blah, blah brand. I'm going to start looking into that. And you have seen sales increase in a majority of these situations, right? I mean, you have examples that I've heard you talk about before where it's taken companies from here to up here.
Yeah, that's a really cool thing about it, because like the whole goal of the competition is to like just bring transparency, to the market and help people find strains that maybe they wouldn't have picked up without, getting that strain in a Connoisseur Pack. So yeah, it's super cool to see like, people discovering these new strains and finding new strains just through the Connoisseur Pack. It's crazy.
And it's cool to see too, like, you have built a community.
Yeah, for sure.
People.
Shouts out to everyone that subscribed as a cult leader. Like, I've made so many friends through this stuff. Like, it's super cool. Like, I have people I can just text and talk about life with, just that I've met from like Instagram people that were just following the Cannabis Cult page, and they reached out, and yeah,
that's awesome.
I've met a ton of cool people like you guys, both of you. I've met you guys, and I appreciate you, Brandon, for always being down to post like the results and stuff in Greenway. Like that's super sick.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been a big thing for the consumer side of the industry as much as it's been a thing for the business side of the industry.
For
sure. On the business side, it's always cool to see competition and to, see where you stack up, and to have access to, essentially real time, as close as you can really get as far as real time feedback with the timeline on it and things like that. But from a consumer standpoint, I think Missouri is a unique market where we see so many different brands, so many different companies, and we're still relatively new. I mean, at the end of the day, we've been doing this for a third of the time of some of the most mature markets, if not less. California has medical marijuana going back to the late 2000s, before we even break into, the teens and the 20s and stuff. And so to have something that's putting consumer viewpoints into the market, essentially into the industry hands, without it being a once a year, or without it being, a big consumption event, where, things kind of get a little gray as far as how much of that is, the people that are hyping it up around you and things like that versus your personal taste. This is a one-on-one user experience. You purchase, you go home, you maybe share with a few friends or what have you, but it's not a crowd of people, sitting there being like, oh, this is my favorite, this booth gave me X, Y, and Z. And it's also a much more controlled experiment, because I don't know anybody that sat there and decided to go, no, I don't know anybody. I'm sure there are people, but I don't know anybody that's based their entire rating off of smoking everything in, an hour-long period.
Right.
that whenever you go to a cup, whenever you go to a consumption event, even for the crowd vote and stuff like that, whatever your first taste was and whatever your last taste was are going to have bias. Everything in the middle is going to be kind of bogged down. And I think that's one of the unique things about this is it allows companies to speak to and hear from consumers in a consumer setting in a way that most other things don't. And you get that data in a much more efficient, nearly real-time scenario where you don't get that really any other way. You know, if you scan a company website or something like that, and they want a review or they send you an email or something, you're not getting it within, you know, days or hours of consuming product like you do with yours, because there's no way that they know that I, you know, just smoked their product an hour ago or that I just purchased it 2 days ago most of the time. The dispensary might, but the company itself doesn't. And I think that's a big differentiation point.
For sure. Yeah, no, it's definitely like a unique experience. And you saying that made me think of a comment that I read last night. It was from a guy, and he's like, "Hey, I'm an older dude. And I just want to let you know that these competitions like make my whole month." And I was like, "That's so sick to hear." I was like, "Damn, that's dope."
That's awesome. One of the things I love about it is I always think about this. If I had a brand, you know, that just sold, you know, a flower brand, and, you know, you're talking to, you try to get feedback from your friends and family, they're most likely going to be very positive. "Oh, it's so good, dude. It's so good." So you're never really getting an honest, organic, you know, response or good feedback. This takes away all that stuff, and you can get it pure. You can get pure responses. So if I had a flower brand and I competed in one of the Connoisseur Packs and I got my ass handed to me, I finished 4th, I would be like, "Good, give me that data." Because then you can go through it and be like, "Oh, the aroma, the smell, the structure, whatever. What do we need to work on?"
Yeah.
You know, because it's almost like you lose and you
Yeah,
win,
for sure.
you know, by getting that information. So I'm a huge data nerd. I think both of you know that. And I love seeing that stuff because hey, that's where I can improve now, you know, and then come back 2 rounds later and slay some dragons.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, for sure. And that's something that a few of the brands, they understand that. And that's why they're like, "Hey, get me back in there, you know, as soon as possible." Because they see the value of, you know, being able to get that direct, unbiased feedback from the customer and see what they can improve upon.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's not, I can't think of any places, competitions, companies that have access to people like that, and access to connoisseurs. I mean, literally that's in the name. I mean, people that know what they're talking about, you know? Okay. So we have flower. What are some other types of products that you, like you mentioned?
Yeah. So far we've done the flower connoisseur pack. We've done a live rosin connoisseur pack and a live resin connoisseur pack. So
that's great.
Are you guys going to move into cured resin or rosin in the future?
So the one that's about to drop on the 14th, that'll be a cold cure rosin. And then another thing that I'd like to do is do like a Danish rosin pack. I think that'd be super cool. Because I noticed that there's a couple brands like Vibe and Vivid, actually. I think they just started doing a Danish, but I think it'd be super cool to do like a Danish rosin pack. I think that'd be sick.
Who's coming up in the?
It's
what
like,
are you talking about?
It's where they put like rosin jam in the middle, which is like rosin that had a warm cure opposed to a cold cure, and then so it makes like a little donut looking thing. But yeah, it's pretty dope.
Who do you have coming up in the drop that's coming up here in the next few days?
So on the March 14th rosin pack, it's going to be another championship pack with Vibe, putting their belt on the line because they're the current rosin champion. And then Amaze and Monopoly Melts will be the other 2 brands in that pack. So that should be a real
Big
good
players. Yeah. And so this last championship round, we should make sure that we highlight the people that made it all the way to the championship round. Amaze, Sundro, Vibe all went up against Local, and Local took the crown again, but this time by point one.
No,
Amaze was right friggin' there.
No, Amaze came with some.
People are getting good.
Amaze came with some fire this time. They had the blue Zushi. That stuff was crazy.
That's awesome. So, for an old dad who may just use a gummy to go to sleep, is there any sort of something coming up soon that aims a little more towards not really the connoisseurs, but the gummy for sleep guy, or the mom who, maybe has, a couple puffs off of disposable vape? Are you going to be leaning into those crowds anytime soon?
What about the single no child individual who's chosen to live their life as a one-off entity that just enjoys peace and quiet and hasn't introduced bringing more life into the world, and that doesn't make their life any less significant or somehow
very true,
not as valuable as these different parents that Tim keeps talking about. What about the 50-year-old bachelor that just enjoys a good night out and hanging out in his favorite recliner at the end of the night, or the 49-year-old lawyer that just enjoys a nice break after she gets home from a long day in court? What about those people, Timothy?
Yeah, you're right. Are you going to be leaning into those?
All those personas. We want to hit all the categories across the board. No, but for real, this year we're trying to do an edible pack, and we're looking into doing a vaporizer pack, as well as flex those nails on them, Brandon. Hell yeah. But yeah.
Hey man, I'm not the 49-year-old lawyer. I do have kids, and me and my daughter go and get our nails done together every 2 weeks.
That's fine. Yeah, that's why. Aaron, same thing. Yeah, we're all
keeps me from chewing on the nails and stuff like that.
Damn, I should do that.
Honestly, my biggest thing from it came from I used to do her nails all the time, and there was one day where she's like, "Hey, can we do each nail a different color?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely, whatever you want, princess." 2.5 hours later, after doing each individual nail a different color, I was like, you know what? This was super fun. We got a great picture for Instagram and for us to send out to, family and friends and stuff. And next time, Daddy's just going to drop the money to have somebody else paint both of our nails, and I'll just sit in the massage chair and chill,
Heck yeah.
Not to get away from what we were talking about, but man, that was an undertaking. And so I know people sometimes notice the nails, and whether they're black or green or whatever. If you ever think, oh, those don't match his persona, that's because I don't have a choice in the matter. They get picked for me by the world's most intimidating 8-year-old girl.
I feel that. Mine's 9. I used to try and paint her nails, but it was never good enough. Like she wants those things perfect. I could never do it well enough, I guess. But yes, I've been paying for her to go up to the salons and stuff. Last time they wanted like $100. I was like, that is insane. Yeah,
for nails.
I was like, what?
You got to find a different shop, man. No disrespect to whatever shop you guys normally go to, but if they're charging you $100 for nails the size of pencil erasers, you're in the wrong place, man. I do want to hop back because I interjected, and I hate whenever I do that. You were talking about two of my favorite consumption products, edibles and vapes. I'm a huge edibles guy, and vapes are generally my go-to just because the amount of time it takes me to roll and smoke and everything like that. I'm not a ritual guy. I want to pull it out of the pack and go. So yeah, could you touch on what you were just discussing there with the edibles and vape competition?
Yeah, so
potential?
we're trying to figure out how we could get it to work to where like each brand could agree maybe like on a certain shape, like certain geometric shape or whatever the case may be, to where people couldn't, see that gummy and be like, oh, that's that gummy, that's that, and they know the brand. So I think that would be the way to go, to have like a general shape that everyone would agree to and be comfortable with, and then that way they can just be judged, off the effects, the taste, the duration of effects, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, and you would think that people wouldn't know or look into what could be from a certain brand, but I know, Aaron, you've told me before that someone found out what one of the brands were by the font of the COA sticker.
Yeah. There's some connoisseurs out there. They know their shit. Like they know the smallest little detail, which that's super cool, because that's the type of people that care about what's in the plant and care about the results, the terpenes, and all this stuff. But
I don't know that I could have told it on the flower side, but if you set 20 edibles in front of me that are gummies, I can probably tell you which company they're from, based on the shape, just based on the shape. And then once you get to consistency, I can probably definitely tell you who it's by, because there's a few that stand out completely different from others. Obviously, like, if you get something like a Mega Pearl from Gruen, that one's going to be different. But even the regular pearls and the honeybee gumdrops, while they're similar, they're completely different, shape and consistency and stuff. Whenever you get to like the gummies from High Five, and then you compare those to some of the square gummies and stuff that are out there, that I could sit here and talk about gummies for a few days, and my preferences are substantial. So I'm gonna just back myself calmly, like Homer Simpson in the meme. Just
what are your top three favorite edibles?
Favorite edibles or favorite gummies?
What's your top three favorite gummies
right now? Man, you're putting me on the spot. So my favorite I've held for many years at this point is High Five. Specifically the High Five Huckleberry Lemonade. That to me is the perfect edible, as far as gummies. The consistency, the taste, the flavor, everything about it makes it my favorite. Now it's a distillate gummy. It's also a low dose gummy. It's something that not a lot of people can get in with. My favorite unique flavor profile gummy was the Cosmic Peanut Butter and Jelly.
Oh, that sounds fire.
Where it's super. It's one of those where you either love it or you hate it right off the bat. I've never met anybody that like tried it again later and was like, oh yeah, I came around on that. But peanut butter and jelly is one of my favorite flavor profiles. So Honeybee has an exceptional chocolate, but as far as gummies, Cosmic just has had this gummy that was peanut butter, almost peanut butter consistency with like a sugary coating on the outside, and then it had a little dab of jelly in the middle of it.
Oh my gosh.
And it tasted like peanut butter and not your regular like store-bought jelly. but like that cheap jelly that they used to feed you at school in your school
cafeteria.
lunch.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Cafeteria jelly.
Yeah.
And for me, that was just a home run. And then my favorite live gummies, there's like 4 different brands right now that are all kind of right together, but so I won't dive too much into all that, but those I feel comfortable because I've said it enough times that I don't think anybody's gonna be taken by surprise that I'm a low dose gummy guy. I like my Huckleberry Lemonade 5 milligram gummies from High Five, and the uniqueness of that peanut butter and jelly one was just it blew me away the first time I had it, and I've had a lot of really cool unique flavors since then, but nothing's ever blown my doors back like that did the first time.
No, that definitely
That's
sounds
awesome.
fire. I'm gonna have to try that peanut butter and jelly one now.
Oh my gosh. I love Honeybee's my go-to. The strawberry basil mojito, 5 milligram solventless. It's beautiful for my sleeps. I'm also a big Panda fan.
Panda is good.
And also recently I got it because it was on sale. The Smokies did like a vibe.
Oh yeah, they did a collab.
Yeah, so good.
Speaking of recent stuff, now the reason this isn't in my top is because it's the potency is just more than I need most of the time. So I forgot that I had tried these recently, but the Tsunami, I'm gonna get in trouble because I don't remember the name of the flavor, but it's based off of Baja Blast Mountain Dew is the flavor profile, and it's called Ozark Dew or something like that.
I saw something about that.
Boy, howdy! If you are, if you're somebody who spent a lot of time at Taco Bell in the 2000s, and you were there for the start of Baja Blast, holy moly, are you going to be like, oh, this is like the grown up version of Baja Blast and Ecto Cooler had a baby.
That's awesome. Yeah, you're gonna try that one too.
That's great. I also did not know yuzu was
blast.
a thing until learning that it is an actual fruit.
What Baja?
And I think it's a Missouri fruit.
What's a fruit?
No, yuzu.
Okay.
Yuzu. So Good Taste came out last summer with these blackberry yuzu gummies, and that's been kind of their number one. I don't know their statistics. I'm making it up right now. That's been what I've perceived as their number one gummy product since it came out, because it's a pretty unique flavor profile in the state right now, and it's another one that there's a uniqueness to the consistency of that one. The flavor is really good. Like we can not to poo-poo or to like downplay, but flavor is one of those things that is both necessary but also gets overrated, because at the end of the day, there's not a whole lot of gummies that just taste bad. The really cool thing about the blackberry yuzu ones, aside from it tasting good, is they mixed gelatin and pectin together, and so it has this really unique consistency, and it doesn't melt. It doesn't. I've left a pack in my car for an entire summer day, and none of them melted together into one giant glob of cannabis gummy that you have to then squeeze out of the package and eat like a brownie and feel like the world's worst caveman.
That's interesting that yuzu is a fruit. I didn't know that. I had a Legacy Market
I didn't either.
hash brand that they had a strain. It was called yuzu something, but it was really fire. So
yeah, that's crazy. So you're not a You're not an edible guy, Aaron.
I'll do
are
them.
you?
I'll do them sometimes. Like
Yeah.
I used to need like 500 to 1,000 milligrams to feel it, but like literally, I would eat like 1,000 milligrams and just barely feel it. It was the weirdest thing. But now, I don't know why, but my tolerism is not as high, so I could eat like 100 and I'll be pretty good. I remember when I was in Colorado one time, a guy told me that your tolerance with gummies has to do with like your like metabolism. So
Yeah.
when I got fucked up off like 100 milligrams, I was like, damn, am I getting fat or what's going on?
So it's really interesting that you say that, because one of the things that a lot of people don't understand is that gummies, not only do they have a different onset and stuff like that because of the way that they're being processed, but for some people, not only is the onset different, but the effects, the length of time it lasts, instead of being 15 minutes to an hour, there's some people that whenever they eat a gummy, the effects can be 4 or 6 hours because it's going through your bloodstream, it's being metabolized in your stomach, and then it's being processed through your liver, and so it's being broken down, and then it goes out through your bloodstream. But the same way that other medication does, whenever you think about like time released Adderall and stuff like that, the reason it is time released is because they formulated it to release gradually through your bloodstream and be processed in that way. And that's one of the things that I noticed the most difference between manufactured edibles, as far as like the gummies and baked goods and stuff in the legal market, what you would buy at a dispensary, versus what I do in my home as far as infused cooking and stuff like that. We have this whole series called Infused Kitchen, where it's a bunch of recipes and talks about infusing things. But the way that you decarb it, the way that you're adding it, it's a whole different experience to have decarb flour added to brownies or something like that versus straight distillate added to a gummy. Because 5 milligrams of distillate may have the same effects for some people as what you would assume would be a 50 milligram infusion in a brownie or a baked good or something like that you did at home. It's not that the math's wrong, it's that especially when you get into nano emulsification and things like that, the technology has progressed so far that they're treating it like medicine now. That was one of the beauties of the medical market, was they realized that they could take the technology of Tylenol extended release and Adderall extended release and fast acting, and they could take all this technology that already exists and apply it to cannabis. And now all of a sudden you have people like yourself that, if I make you a brownie, I'm going to have to use an ounce of weed for you to feel anything. But if you buy dispensary gummies, you may only need, 20, 30, 50 milligrams, depending on how their formulation is. And I think that's a really cool talking point, both for consumers and people in the industry as a whole, is the technology behind edibles.
Yeah, and to your point about like the duration of effects, like I have noticed a few times where I'll wake up after taking edibles like at night, like the next day I'll wake up and I'll still be like faded.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, some of those edibles be kicking in fast. And like especially the live rosin ones, those tend to like hit way faster for me than any other type of edible.
I think that a lot of the live stuff, what you're getting as an edible is the entourage effect. And I think a lot of people have never experienced the entourage effect from an edible.
Mm-hmm. Yes. One thing that I've noticed is that I wish I could experience that feeling a little longer, but I do it and then I go straight to bed. So maybe I should stay up a little longer and enjoy this entourage effect. But I don't. I feel it, and that's all I need. So Aaron, we will be looking forward to a gummy pack this year. The logistics of how you're going to do it, I am not sure, because you would have to use like a mold that is the same for all 4 brands. So if anybody has any ideas out there, hit up Aaron, because that would be a tough one to pull off, but I bet you it would be a smash hit.
Yeah, I think we just have to find like a universal mold.
Yeah, that'd be. I have no idea.
I'll be the first one to sign up. I'll drive to whatever green light I need to pick up the Gummy Connoisseur Pack.
Oh yeah. What do you look for in a gummy? Like, because I was thinking as far as like what people would rate. No, I was thinking like duration of effects and effects, obviously, consistency, flavor. That's 4.
Mm-hmm.
So we
smell's
have
not gonna be one. You're not gonna sniff your gummies like.
I mean, you might, especially if it's a live product and stuff like that, because they always say the nose knows. I don't think that applies any differently to cannabis than it does to anything else. If I opened up a pack of Lifesavers or something and they smelled like hot ass, I would not put that in my mouth.
Yeah, right. It's true. And actually, now that I say that, I was thinking Vivid they have a strain specific live resin gummy, which I thought was really cool. Yeah. They infuse like the terpenes that are in that strain into the gummy. So I think that's true though.
We do reviews for gummies and stuff like that for patients, but for me personally, the big things for me are the consistency of the gummy, as far as the touch, the feel, like especially the mouth feel and stuff, but also the consistency of the dosage. If I take one, and I'm smart enough that I replicate it the exact same way whenever I'm doing our reviews and stuff. If I take one, at 6 a.m. on Monday, with a cup of coffee and no breakfast, I should experience it basically the same way on Tuesday at 6 a.m. with no breakfast, and a cup of coffee. And if it's a wildly different experience, that to me is not a good sign, because gummies and edibles in general should be the most reliable consumption method as far as dosage and replicable experience and things like that. That's one of the reasons that I like them so much, is because I've found a handful that I know exactly how I'm going to feel and exactly how I'm going to react whenever I take them every single time. Mm-hmm. So those are the 2 biggest things for me. Then a little bit further down is, flavor and cost. Cost isn't going to play into a blind one, but cost for me is a big one, not because of I'm equating it to milligrams of THC or anything. I'm just equating it to how fast am I going to go through this bag. There's some bags that cost, $50 that I may go through in a weekend. There's some bags that cost $10 that I may go through in a weekend. And, cost winds up being a big target point for me. But the most important thing in any edible for me is that replicable experience, the consistency of the dosage and stuff like that.
Yeah. Now that you say that, I feel like that could be 2 more categories, like mouthfeel, that could be one. And then, I don't know how you would word that, but like consistency of effects distributed per...
We just put it as dose, and then we explain under dose what we're talking about as far as, the consistency of that dosage and stuff like that. Because it's one thing to have a 20 milligram edible that feels like a 20 milligram edible. It's another thing to have a 20 milligram edible that feels like a 10 milligram edible and then feels like a 50 milligram edible. Whenever you took it at the same time, eating the same thing, like you should have consistent experiences. Now, obviously, live stuff is a little bit more inconsistent, but that's because of diet and stuff. It should be relatively consistent if you're doing the exact same thing that you were doing yesterday.
That makes sense for sure.
Makes sense. Well, we could nerd out on this for another hour. So let's close this out here, Aaron. And we're huge fans of the Connoisseur Pack and the Cannabis Cult. If someone wants to get a hold of you, wants to be a connoisseur, wants to be in one of these packs, like what's the best way to get a hold of you?
You can hit me up on Instagram on Missouri Cannabis Reviews or the Cannabis Cult IG Instagram. Either. I'm pretty responsive on Instagram. I shouldn't give my phone number, right?
No. What's a good website?
Definitely give your phone number. Put it out there. Let's get all these freaky deakies texting you at like 1 a.m. being like, listen, dude, I got this great idea for the next Cannabis Cult. If you just give me 5 minutes in the morning, oh, sorry, I just sent you 3 inappropriate pictures. But if you like it.
Yeah, this dude from Malaysia, he's like, do you guys do the Connoisseur Pack in Malaysia? And I was like, no, we don't do that yet. And he's like, do you have anything you could send me? And I was like, I don't sell anything over Instagram, brother. I'm sorry.
Hey,
yeah, dude, I'm definitely gonna drop ship you like all these controlled substances.
Just send them across the world.
Gosh. Yeah.
Wouldn't be the first dude on Instagram to do it.
Well, Aaron, thank you so much for your time. Cannabis Cult.
Yes.
CO.
Yeah, you can.
That's how people can get a hold of you. They can see all the information that you need to know about the Connoisseur Pack and what you have going on for 2025. So thank you for your time, brother. And Brandon, always good to see you. And we will see everyone next week.
Thank y'all for having me.